writing, action, creativity, and passion. Long ago, the four pillars of art stood together in harmony. Then, everything changed when the Disney Nation attacked. With their strive to break the spirits of their effects department, and their willingness to burn every single property they own just to make a profit. This has ruined the reputation for everyone who loves these properties, but has also set an example for those around them, citing for the same goals. In spite of all hope seemingly being lost, with everything that comes out getting more and more unoriginal than the last. But I still have hope that things can get so much better. I wanted to make this video because after I saw the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender trailer, it made me ponder a question. The question, why do we need a live-action version of Avatar? Why do we need a live-action version of anything? I mean, what really is the point? I think a good answer to that question might be fairly simple when you really think about it. I mean, wouldn't it be cool if all those things that you saw in that animated television show, wouldn't it be cool if all of that was done in real life, done in live action? It's a fairly simple answer, but I think the answer misses the point to why that work was done in animation to begin with. And if you really want an answer to why it was done in animation, why was another work done in live action? I mean, the point of both mediums is just entertainment, and that's what it's used for the most part. They're both very significant mediums of art, and they both do their job fairly well. And they both have very similar processes. Maybe not inherently visual, but both mediums work exactly the same. They both require writing, they both require a script, they both require acting, and they're both inherently stylistic. But what I think the point is, the style of the art lies within the creator's original intent. And if that is either animation or live action, then that should just be it. I mean, why change the original purpose and intention of a project if it's just gonna piss people off? That is why I have a hard time understanding why anything would need to be remade in a live action in the first place. It was obviously done well in animation the first time, so why change it? There's one thing that I heard before that also poses a very interesting question, and that is live action inherently better than animation because you can treat it more seriously? I mean, what kind of question is that? You can treat both mediums the same. They're both serious in their own right. And that leads to the realization that historically, animation has been thought more of as a kid's product, being that most animated projects are made for kids. But not every animated project is made for kids. Animation is not just for kids. It's for literally anyone. And the people that make these animations are adults. So, are they really counting themselves out when they make animated projects? Why is it inherently treated more seriously, much better, if it's in live action opposed to animation? I mean, Most of the greatest stories ever told are done through animation, whether it be for kids or for adults. But they're not just for kids or for adults, they're for anyone. Because animation resonates with just as many people as it's made for. I mean, most animated movies deal with more mature subject matter than anything that's R-rated and made for adults. I know it's a hard concept to consider, but it's true. How the fuck is a movie like Deadpool, made for adults, less mature than a movie like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse? They are two completely different films, but yet the one for children is much more mature than its subsidiary. I think we as a society should get rid of this notion that animation is specifically made for kids. Because time and time again, there have been millions of projects that have been animated and not at all suitable for children. So I think it's best to just get that idea out of our heads. Period. It's an outdated notion, and frankly, I feel like it's a very stupid notion to even have now, when it's been proven wrong time and time again. But what do I know? But the thing that puzzles me the most is why do these live action adaptations of works that once were animated keep making money? It's a thing that's puzzled me for quite a while. These bastardizations of great works keep failing at their one and only purpose, and yet people are still getting excited for them. People are still lining up to see them, no matter how many times they fail at their one simple job. A simple job of just putting something that already exists onto a different screen. I mean, what made Cinderella better than the animated version? What made the live action Beauty and the Beast better than the original? I mean, they're not terrible films, animated or live action, but the animated version in both instances is still better. And what was the point of replacing The Lion King, one of the greatest Disney films of all time, with a cheap, realistic CGI animated Lion King movie? I mean, what the hell is the difference? They're the same thing. One just looks better, and not even the newer one. And if your live action remake of one of the greatest stories of all time gets outclassed by three other similar projects coming out in the same year, why fucking do it? Thankfully, these works lose more and more money each year. So, here's hoping that we don't get any more of them. Now, what started me on this massive tangent was the trailer for the new live action Avatar The Last Airbender show coming out on Netflix. I mean, I loved the trailer. It looked great. It actually looks like a live action interpretation of the original animated show from years ago. It looks like the way it's supposed to. And by all means, I doubt it's going to be as bad as the one from 2010, made by M. Night Shyamalan, of all people. It's going to be okay. It's going to be good, even. But that doesn't make up for the fact that most other live action versions of animated shows that come out on Netflix have failed in most of the departments that they tried to produce. For the most part. I mean, I'll never forgive what they did to Cowboy Bebop. I know the common consensus is that they're getting better because of one of the recent shows, One Piece, for example. I haven't watched it, but at the end of the day, it's more or less an adaptation of a comic book or a manga than it is an adaptation of the animated show that is still running. And that can be said for most works on Netflix. They're not really adaptations of anime per se, but they're adaptations of mangas. And I think they should be judged more on that than them being compared to the animated shows. But that's neither here nor there. I think it fails for the most part when you're adapting a animated show into live action. Cowboy Bebop, unlike everything else that's on Netflix, is not adapted from a manga that was adapted into an animated show and then into live action, but is actually originally was just the animated show, the one season animated show from the 90s. And that's where the concept fails the most. They tried to adapt an animated show into live action, and they bastardized the original meaning of that work, all for a cut of profit. There was no passion involved in the people that worked behind it. And Cowboy Bebop has a very similar story with Avatar The Last Airbender. If you look at the original live action adaptation from 2010 by M. Night Shyamalan, they're very similar, being that they're both immense bastardizations of the former products. They're both live action adaptations of previously animated shows. And they both fundamentally forget what those shows were even saying in the first place. They just ignore them completely. But that's what I want to get at. Yes, me watching the new Avatar The Last Airbender, it looks phenomenal. It looks great. But I still have the fear that it won't be great. That it'll just be another regrettable adaptation of an animated show. Yeah, because of how it looks, because of what it does just in the trailer, it looks immensely better than M. Night Shyamalan's version. It looks fucking phenomenal. But my main message here is just why would it matter if that work was live action in the first place? Why does it matter that it is live action in the first place? Why can't Avatar just stay as the same animated show that we all grew up with? Why does it need a live action spin at all? Anyway, this was the ramblings of a madman, and if you enjoyed it, maybe like the video and leave a comment. I'm fucking gone, so peace. This fucking video's gone on long enough.